All right, so weed control's going to come. Because your plants might be too tall, they're impeding pedestrians or traffic. Plants are causing physical hazard to structures. There's no cues to care, and we're going to talk about that in depth a little bit later. There might also be invasive species present, so you really do need to know your plants. That's one of your best weapons, and again, we will discuss that a little bit further in more detail. So what can and should you do? For the love of God, do not be angry or accusatory in letters or in person. Be professional, calm, and open to compromise. Even if you're not open to compromise, pretend like you are. Being professional is absolutely critical. You cannot imagine the kinds of people that weed control authorities have to deal with for a variety of reasons. You know, they're going to be working with people across the spectrum, right? And if on a rare occasion they get somebody pleasant who's willing to listen, they're more likely to work with you and for you. I know this from personal experience in talking with these professionals. It also benefits you to know the binomial nomenclature or scientific or Latin name of every plant in your garden. That might be a tall task, but you should know the plants in your landscape, shouldn't you? You bought them and put them there and researched if they would work well in your landscape in the plant communities that you were going to be putting them into. And also have a list on paper of all those plants, right? So that you can just give them to the weed inspector, sort of a saying. So that shows that you know what you're doing, right? You chose these plants specifically and you put them here for a reason. Also, it helps to know a little bit more about the ecosystem and the ecosystem services, specifically the services that benefit pollinators. Have a good idea of what plants are working as host plants for what insect and bug species and why those species are important to the natural landscape, both in urban areas and just outside urban areas. So know those relationships, and you can find them partly by looking at Illinois Wildflowers website or Jared Fowler's website. Jared's website especially focuses on specialist native bee species from around the country and what plants they require as far as pollen, because they have special relationships with the pollen of certain native plant species. Ignore the skippers on the right. I shouldn't have put that XXX image in here. I apologize if you're sensitive, turn away. Don't email me with complaints. All right, so, this goes a little bit further. It really depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. You can have a record of bees, butterfly, and bird species that come to your landscape. You can also, it's also helpful to cite scientific studies that show the benefits of meadow or natural plantings as far as ecosystem services go. We'll talk about ecosystem services a lot today. I have at least 2 slides with lists. So the same goes for trees and carbon sequestration, air purifying, surface cooling, reducing your energy costs, reducing carbon dioxide that's released into the atmosphere because of energy use in our cities. Now don't forget, shrubs and tall perennials can also shade walls, cooling your home and reducing your energy load. It's not just trees shading the roof. I thought we needed a picture to lighten the load a little bit, because this is a very serious topic and it certainly raises passions in all of us on all sides. So ride the monarch. All right. So the letter of the law is written to be vague and open to interpretation for a very specific reason. It's certainly not there to piss us off, especially those of us wanting to rewild urban landscapes, even though we do need better guidelines and better language in our ordinances. So the vagueness is there specifically to give leeway to officials to make case-by-case decisions. Now that actually works in your advantage, believe it or not. But those decisions aren't going to go well unless you ask for a review or explanation or visit by an inspector and superintendent to your property. And even then, you still might lose. But I still think even if you end up losing your case, we are gaining momentum. We have to have people making challenges, and again, making those challenges constructively and positively and encouragingly, with the people in charge of enforcing these ordinances. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper and into a little bit more complex territory. This is my general advice on HOAs, homeowners associations. This is not going to apply to everybody. And I know there are some very, very militant HOAs out there, and I wish we didn't have them. I hear people say all the time, well, don't live in an HOA if you don't like those rules. Well, come on, give me a break. These rules need to be changed. They need to be pushed because we have environmental problems up the wazoo. Okay, so you need to pitch your plan to an HOA before you do anything, especially when you are dealing with a more hard-lined HOA. So let's have a plant list with scientific and common names, including images of each plant. You're going to have a wonderful 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 page document. You are going to come in uber prepared. Good for you. First step towards victory. You're going to have a table, a graph, a chart of bloom times, color, and anticipated mature size. A table of plant sociability. Example, you won't be using aggressives. Proves that you're going to be using behaved species. Images of inspirational gardens by landscape the design firms you hope to emulate. I think that's important. Some people have a hard time visualizing what the space is going to look like, so help them out with that. The specific wildlife benefits of each plant, like milkweed, right? So you could say something like to the board during your presentation, as you all probably know, monarch populations are down X% in our region, or the loss of pollinators like bees has been in the news, and these specific plants have been shown in this scientific study Y to provide the best pollen for native bees. Yeah, you can see that you're going to have to do some research here, but that's going to make you more empowered and more likely to succeed in your challenge or proposal. Let's hope it's a proposal and not a challenge.